Hi, I'm Melanie.
And I'm Amanda, and we want to welcome you to another episode of the Homeschool Show from North Carolinians for Home Education.
And we're here to help you homeschool with confidence and joy.
Absolutely. Well, we are coming at you today from Old Salem, which is one of my favorite places. And I didn't know until we got here that Melanie has never been here before.
I have not.
And so this is a great place to have a learning on location segment where we are going to talk about field trips. Field trips are one of my favorite things about homeschooling. I think they are maybe the best way to learn in a hands-on way. I love all kinds of field trips, and we have been on many field trips over the years of homeschooling.
Yes. I will say I had not been here before. However, I did check because you guys know from my previous episode, I like the letterbox, and there are several letterboxes here. So I will visit.
Yes, it would be perfect. Such a perfect location to do all kinds of things. So at Old Salem in particular, they often have special homeschool days. Very close to here, there's another Moravian settlement called Bethabara, and they also do special homeschool days. It is just a wonderful piece of history for our state, and it's a great opportunity to learn about some of the early settlers in North Carolina and just how they lived and did things, their faith. I personally love the candle tea, which will be coming up in December. It is one of my favorite all-time field trips. So I was going to ask you, Melanie, what is one or maybe a couple of your favorite field trips that you guys have been on?
Well, and I really think that for us, it's been when we're letterboxing and we go places and I find all these things to learn.
Yeah.
Now with NCHE, because I did live on the coast, and so we did do some aquarium field trips. And of course, my family would go to the aquarium all the time. But when I went with NCHE, it made it so much, it was special. Yes. It was really nice. And we did get to learn a couple of things. I actually paid attention to what they were talking about instead of just running my kids through it.
Yes.
So I really enjoyed going to the aquarium with NCHE.
That is so fun. One of my, in addition to Old Salem, which is one of my favorites, also one of mine and my children's all-time favorites, we went to a popcorn farm.
That sounds awesome.
It's so fun. There is a popcorn farm in Yadkinville.
Sounds close to
I
me.
may get that wrong. I think it's Yadkinville. Anyway, I will look that up and put it in the show notes. But there's a popcorn farm, and you can go and they'll give you a tour of the farm and how they harvest the popcorn and sell it to all these different places. It is so much fun.
That sounds awesome. And that's near me. I would go.
Absolutely. So that is one of them. But I would encourage you, even if it's something simple. We have done, when my kids were little, we did field trips to the grocery store. We did field trips to the library. We did all kinds of things. We went to a bakery and they toured us. They took us into the kitchen and showed us how they made the bread and the muffins and all the things. It was so interesting and educational. You just never know how much you're going to learn from something even that seems as simple as that.
Well, and it's, everything doesn't have to be about learning something.
Exactly.
But grocery stores and math, they go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
I have done math so many times in the grocery store.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's
100%. So my encouragement to you is do not discount the importance of a good field trip.
Yes.
And how much it can add to your homeschool.
It's awesome. I look forward to going to a popcorn farm.
Yes.
So Amanda, what do you have for us today for Homeschool Helps?
So today on Homeschool Helps with Amanda, I want to talk about choosing to outsource certain things in your homeschool. And is this a good idea or not? So I have had a couple of conversations recently with some moms about whether they wanted to outsource some subjects in their homeschool. And they were worried that by doing that, they weren't holding up to some kind of ideal in homeschooling. So they felt like, oh, if I outsource this, then am I really doing a good job at homeschooling? And so my answer to that is, in many situations, it is just fine. And it is a great help sometimes. I have outsourced a lot of different things over the years. Sometimes it was a great help and good idea to do that. You know, I have said many times, I don't teach math in my homeschool. When the kids were little, that looked like watching Mr. Demi on the Matthew C videos. He taught my kids math, very much so. And currently with my teenager, that looks like using a video online math curriculum. Again, that's outsourcing, but it's what is making it work for us, because I can do math, but I cannot teach math. And so outsourcing that subject for us has been super helpful in my homeschool. Now, on the other hand, I think I've said this, I think I said it in a different context, but last year I sort of got this idea in my head. You know, my son, he's the last one, he was going into high school. I'm like, this is a great opportunity to outsource everything, almost everything. I kept like one or two things at home, but almost everything else I outsourced, and it was a disaster. It was a disaster. He was not ready for that level of independence, and I got frustrated because everything was coming from someone else. It was not a good fit for our season. It was not a good fit for our family. It was a source of frustration. And so that's an example of when outsourcing is not a good thing. So I think you really have to think through and pray through, what are your goals for this season in your homeschool? And will the outsourcing, whether that means a online class, online curriculum, or a co-op class, or even dual enrollment, is this going to be a blessing to your homeschool and to your family? Or is it going to be just like it happened with us, a frustration and just a source of kind of contention? So that is my quick and dirty answer of when should you outsource or not. And the answer is, you got to think about it. There really is no cut and dried answer, but know that it's okay to do, perfectly okay to do. You do not have to, as a homeschool mom or dad, take on every single subject and every single assignment all the time. Perfectly okay. But you really do have to judge for yourself and for your family if this is a good fit.
Yeah. I think the only struggle I ever had, which I've never done, I never did the entire school workload, but I've done some through co-ops and some, I did do Demi learning, is like Demi was easy for me because I could wash dishes and kind of see what was going on, and I knew what I needed to teach with. When they went to co-op, they were learning stuff that I didn't know what angle the teacher was teaching from, and so then when they needed my help, I struggled. I wasn't the best at helping them, and I was kind of like, you're on your own. Yes. So that I found that to be a struggle, but a blessing at the same time. It's been great for some of the classes that they've taken.
Yeah. And sometimes, you know, when you're in a season of where you just maybe don't have the time or the brain strength, the brain capacity to take on another subject, it can be a wonderful blessing and enable you to continue homeschooling. So just think about those things.
Very good. Okay, so now we're in for our next section of what we've seen on the internet this week.
Wow.
Okay. So you ready?
I'm ready. All right.
Okay.
Buckle up.
So the first one that I saw, and I have seen this continually, okay? So it says, what's the best homeschool program? I was considering North Carolina Virtual Academy. Let me tell you something straight out the get-go here. North Carolina Virtual Academy is part of our public school system. That is not homeschooling.
Yes.
So what are you going to say?
That is exactly right. It is so easy to get confused because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and in the marketing that some of these public school, these virtual public school programs put out there, they use the words homeschooling. I've seen the ads. They use the words, oh, here's a perfect way to make homeschooling work for you. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but North Carolina Virtual Academy, Connections Academy, K-12, I don't even know what all of them are called, North Carolina Virtual Public School, if you are enrolled in that as a public school student and are not paying for the classes. Those are all public school at home programs. They are not homeschool programs. So if you are okay with being a public school student, having your children enrolled in public school and doing that work at home, that is okay. That's what you're doing. But just know that you will not, in that situation, you will not open a homeschool, you will not follow the homeschool law, and you will be subject to whatever regulations and curriculum and all the things that the public schools have in place.
Now, this is the same thing with, I know there's different programs that some people like say, well, I'm homeschooling, but they've enrolled in such and such university online program.
Also,
that's the same thing, right? That is not, if you're not planning it.
So it's a little tricky in North Carolina. It's super confusing. So we understand that this is confusing. It's hard. It's confusing for us. And we've been doing this a long time. It's so confusing for those of you that are new to homeschooling, new maybe to North Carolina. So here's the difference. A hybrid or university model school, almost always, all the ones I'm aware of, you are enrolled, your student, your family is enrolled in that university model school. They are a student of that school. They are not a homeschool student. Now, this is even more confusing, that in North Carolina, we do not have any kind of legal definition, any kind of legal place for the online private academies. So if, like, some examples of that would be Penn Foster, that would be one, the Abeka Online Academy, the Bob Jones Online Academy. You know, a lot of the curriculum companies have their own.
Like Monarch with the
Omega. Yep. Any of those, even Liberty University Online Academy, because those schools don't have a physical presence in North Carolina. There's no place in the law for them. It's kind of a weird gray area. So if your student is enrolled in one of those private online schools, you do need to open a homeschool. You do need to follow the homeschool laws. See?
It's so confusing.
It's so confusing. We hilariously, a while ago at a meeting, we were talking through all these different crazy options, and we called it the Wild West of homeschooling. And I feel that way. I feel like different options are always popping up, and it's so hard to know, is this really homeschooling or is it not? And
I'm glad I could cause some confusion there.
Hopefully that helped a little.
So we'll move to our next, what we've seen on the internet this week.
All right.
So this particular person, and this is I'm going to give you two parts, okay? So this particular person is withdrawing two of their students that are 5 and 6 years old and are in public school, but they're going to withdraw them. The other one that I saw was somebody that's child is not quite yet 7, and she says that the local school has contacted her and basically said, you know, your child's not in school, you need to produce some documentation for me.
Wow. Those are tough. And I think this issue comes up regularly. It comes up maybe every fall as people are either withdrawing their kids or, you know, public school has started and maybe the public school has realized, oh, these kids aren't here. So the general rule is in North Carolina, the compulsory attendance age is 7. Before your student turns 7, they do not have to be enrolled anywhere. Now, here's the trick. There's always a tricky part. Here's the tricky part. If your student is 5 or 6, if they have been enrolled in a public school, you absolutely do have to formally withdraw them. You have to go to that public school. Sometimes you can email them, sometimes you just go in person and withdraw them formally. Now, you do not, if they are 5 or 6, you do not open a homeschool. You do not. You're just withdrawing them, and then you are free to do your own thing. You can homeschool them, certainly. You can do lessons. You can go on field trips like we talked about. You can do all the great things and enjoy the benefits of homeschooling, but you do not, until they are 7, have to open your own homeschool.
Along that same, well, my first thought is I want to address that when you are getting a phone call from a school or you're going to withdraw your child and they're asking for documentation and you're confused because you've heard us say you don't need that, you have to give these workers some grace because most of them really don't know about homeschool law. They have so much on their plate already with public school, and some of them have had experience and know some, but we really have to show a little grace and be kind. We don't want to give homeschoolers a bad name.
Right.
So we can be kind while we say, I don't think this is what this is about. And you can then come and find out or print something offline and take back and say, this is how it is.
Yes.
Politely and firmly.
Yes.
So, but let's do give grace because they just honestly don't have the experience to know. They're dealing with their own things.
Also, one along those lines of the school officials very often know nothing about the homeschool law at all. They don't know what compulsory attendance age is. Often they don't know that. And so it's okay to maybe print off the actual law and take it with you.
Yes.
If you think there's going to be any kind of pushback from the school official, or if you have gotten pushback from the school official, print off the law and just take it to them and say, this is what the law says. And there's no need to get, like what you were saying, get frustrated, get angry. There's no need. They're just so often operating out of just ignorance. They just don't know.
Yes. So, and another thing is you've started your school and you had one child and now you're coming back and you have more, because I saw this week where somebody's saying, where do I go add my second child?
Yes.
And there is a place every year when you go out to your account on the Department of Non-Public Education website where they have a list of ages and you just say, I have 2 kids in this age group and 1 kid in this age group. And that's all you need to do. Right. Once your school is open, that is your school for however many children you continue to have.
Right.
And so you don't have to add them to the school. You can just, the next year, whenever you update your account, put them in whatever age bracket they belong in. And that's all that has to happen.
Yes, that's exactly right. There is, in fact, nowhere on your portal at the DNPE website, there's nowhere to put a name.
Yeah. No name, date of birth, none of that stuff.
We don't put any of our students' personal information on there. Right. Just there's a place for, I think, gender and age, and that's it.
Very good.
All right.
All right. So what are we going to talk about now?
Now we have some NCHE news. As always, we like to feature what's going on with NCHE. And first off, this is your last chance. If you have been waiting to register for the Moms Retreat, this is your last chance. You have a few more days and then registration will close and that will be it. So
please come and join us. This is an amazing couple of days away from home with other moms that are having the same experiences in life that you are.
Yes.
Please come and join us as we relax, listen to some talks about homeschooling.
Yes.
Make some crafts, eat some food together, have some s'mores.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome. Please.
So fun. Don't miss out. And then we also have some field trips coming up. So,
talking about field trips earlier.
I know.
So this month, October 31st, we have the field trip to Caladium. And so you still have up until October 29th, I believe, to register for that on our website. Be sure to check the show notes below for everything that we're talking about, and you'll have links there. And then what's next?
And then I believe there are still a few spots left for the Nutcracker field trip, which is coming up in December. It is a wonderful show. It's just such a great time for the holiday season. So you don't want to miss out on that. Seats are going fast.
Yes, if you're interested in that, you need to check now, because it's be very unusual for there to be seats left.
Absolutely. And then there will be a field trip coming up to the Charlotte Hornets. So my
yearly field trip.
Yes, my son is a basketball player and he loves this field trip. We have gone every year for the last several years. So be on the lookout for how to buy tickets. We go to the Charlotte Hornets. It's a special NCHE night with the Charlotte Hornets, and all details will be on our website, and you'll find that in the show notes as well.
Because for those that have been before, there's going to be some little extra special stuff this year that we haven't done before. So I really am looking forward to that.
Me too. Check it out. And last but not least, we at NCHE, we are all volunteers. We have just 2 or 3 employees that actually get paid. All the rest of us, Melanie and I, are completely volunteers. And we always need more volunteers. So if you would like to be a part of NCHE, there are many different opportunities that we could use some extra hands and feet. And we would love to have you volunteer with us. So you can go to nche.com, and there is a link that you'll find in the show notes of how to get involved. You just fill out a form and we will help you get plugged in.
That's awesome. Yes. I'm so glad that I'm part of NCHE.
Me too.
It's an experience I would not trade for anything.
Absolutely. It's been such a blessing for me and for my family. So I encourage you to check that out.
So until next time, we hope you have a blessed week.
And continue to homeschool with confidence and joy.
So Amanda, what do you have for Homeschool Helps for us?
Let's try that again.
Yes, we're professionals, clearly. Okay.